Hey guys, it's Dani. Okay, a very nice orchid today has bloomed, and this is the Gongora leucochila. And I would like to call her the mother of dragons. Yeah, I know, it's a little bit of a pun, but just look at these blooms. I think Brad was the first one to compare these blooms with tiny little dragons, and I really cannot agree more. You can obviously say they look like birds. In any case, they look like flying creatures, but I would say dragons because they have these little whiskers, they have the really wild shape to them. I just love them. Alrighty, I'm actually very excited about this orchid, that's why I'm drifting away from the subject. So let's make a little presentation about the Gongora leucochila. The plant itself, you might know her from my older videos. This orchid is also related to Stanhopeia orchids. However, the Stanhopeias usually produce spikes somewhere beneath the pseudobulbs. The Gongora will produce spikes, if it has room, from the base of the pseudobulbs, but then it will grow upwards and then just bend down. Other than that, she's really similar to a Stanhopeia orchid. If you've never seen any of these, well, she looks kind of pretty. The pseudobulbs have ridges, as you can see, and each pseudobulb usually has between 2 and 3 leaves on top, which are pretty broad, as you can see. She is not a huge orchid, but she's not tiny either, and usually expands more on a horizontal level than it does on a vertical level. She's not a tall plant, but as I was saying, not necessarily a space saver. However, even without blooms, she really does look pretty nice. I personally do like the growth habit of this orchid. But let's get down to the blooms because they're the attraction of the day. Now, this orchid, like other Gongoras, is capable of producing multiple flowers. However, you might know the history with the move and everything. I will not repeat that. This is a recovering Gongora, and the fact that she managed to bloom is pretty amazing in my eyes, considering she sat without medium for about 3 weeks or so. And these orchids really do enjoy moisture. Thus, you can see the damage I have on the leaves. Usually if you have this type of damage, the dried leaf tips, it's usually a sign that this orchid got dehydrated. Now the flowers. Well, they're not the biggest flowers you've ever seen, but they're not tiny either. And I have to say, they are spectacular if you see them in person. Pretty intricate little flowers. I absolutely adore them. So I'll give you a close-up of the flowers as I talk about them. Now, the sad thing about the Gongora flowers is that they last only for a few days. So when your Gongora is in bloom, just enjoy the moment and visit it and admire it as much as you can, because in a few days all the flowers will drop, as far as I know. Each pseudobulb can actually produce multiple flower spikes, and they can be quite long, and this orchid usually has more flowers than this, given it has the proper conditions and is treated correctly. Now, my Gongora was in bud, I feel, for the longest time. However, in one single night, all of the flowers opened, and I had such a nice surprise in the morning time. Now, the flowers are indeed fragrant, and as far as I read on the internet, they smell a little sweet and plasticky, and to my nose, indeed, they are sweet, plasticky at the same time, a pretty synthetic smell. I don't dislike it, however, I personally feel an underlayer of fishiness in the flowers, and I don't mean strangeness in any way, but straight fish. It's very, very mild, might just be me. Anyway, I'm not super in love with the fragrance, but it's quite nice, and as I'm standing here and film it, I can feel it. It's not overwhelming, but it is pretty powerful. You definitely feel it standing close to the orchid, and especially if you smell the flower itself. Now, as I was reading about Gongoras, it appears that specific species of Gongoras have a very particular fragrances which attract a single type of pollinator, and usually the pollinator for this plant is a male bee. So by fashioning a special type of fragrance, this orchid can attract a single type of pollinator, and thus obtaining pollen from other type of plants or even other type of Gongoras, which are not leucochilas, let's say, is avoided, which is a nice trait of evolution. But overall, the flowers are absolutely breathtaking, and I think the best display for this orchid is somewhere on an upper shelf. If you can hang her, that's good as well. If you can keep the pot hanging, that's perfect. If you can maybe mount this orchid and care for it properly mounted, because the flower spikes really do look spectacular pending down. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and the Gongora. If you're interested in purchasing this orchid, I personally got it from Schwerter. You have the link below. I'm not sure if they have it for sale, but as far as I see, Gongoras are not rare orchids. If you'd like me to make a video with some basic care, I can do that. I don't feel comfortable in making a full tutorial on how to care for it. I had some bad luck with some, I learned from my mistakes and so on. Not the expert on Gongoras, but I'm willing to try a few basic care needs for this orchid. So let me know in the comment below if you're interested in stuff like that. I can tell you what not to do in order to maintain it alive. And of course, if you have any other suggestions for videos or questions about orchids, always feel free to leave me a comment. I always read them. And if you'd like to see more videos from me, simply subscribe to my channel. I post on a daily basis. And feel free to send me a letter anytime at the address you see on the screen and in the description below. Choose an option on the screen if you'd like to visit orchidnature.com and learn more about orchids or watch another orchid video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!